moving on to other series that they punched their ticket to the West Finals. We had the Grizzlies versus the Warriors. I didn't mention this earlier, but I just wanted to just sit down, just gather my thoughts, and just talk about the whole second round in one whole spiel. Apparently, Game 6 Clay came back. He just did his thing. Warriors beat the Grizzlies in 6 games, as predicted by majority NBA analysts and reporters alike, YouTubers alike. They just saw that the Grizzlies, even as a second seed, they just couldn't match up with the Warriors' offense. But we all know that lethal offenses are important, but defense wins championships. So apparently, the Warriors, they have a lot of championship experience under their belt, and they won this game. So I mean, that's that. Then we have, last but not least, I mean, the Miami Heat versus the Philadelphia 76ers. This series ended in 6 games. The Miami Heat took over 2-0 at home. Game 1 and Game 2. Game 3 and Game 4 at Sixers home floor. The Sixers defended home court and tied up the series. Then, the Miami Heat went back in Game 5 at their home floor. They won Game 5, and also they just took over Game 6 at the Sixers home floor. So then it's actually a pretty interesting series, looking at how everything unfolded. The whole Ben Simmons situation earlier in this season, last year and this season, it was just so hectic. They just had to move the guy, and they moved the guy for James Harden, and that kind of catapulted their championship pedigree and aspirations to be like, well, finals or bust, even as a 4th seed. So that's actually a lot. And because they had 2 MVP caliber talents in Joel Embiid and James Harden, but James Harden was looking like the Houston MVP, but Joel Embiid was looking like the the MVP, the surefire MVP, but he wasn't able to win the MVP award despite winning the scoring title. So that's that. But the expectation for the Sixers, if they don't make it to the East Finals and possibly the Finals, it's a failed series. And the James Harden and Joel Embiid pairing failed this season. And just say the process failed because since the time they've made the playoffs, they've not been able to make it past the second round in 4 years. I mean, Joel Embiid has been bounced out in the second round in 2018 by the Celtics in 5. 2019, Kawhi Leonard happened. He bounced them out in the worst way to end the whole season. That buzzer beater in Game 7, just call game, call series, call whatever you want to say. I mean, it was just a depressing state of affairs at that time. Then looking at 2020, they got swept by the Boston Celtics, the long nemesis in the first round because they didn't have Ben Simmons. 2021, Ben Simmons just had a huge meltdown in the playoffs. Couldn't even get a job done. Could even make a free throw. Could even make a basket in the clutch to save his life, and just blew the series for the Sixers. And even looking at the 2022 season, my expectations were when they get a James Harden, they can be able to pull it off. Then they were not able to do it. The one interesting thing that I saw floating around is when Jimmy Butler was walking out the tunnel after that game, he was screaming, not screaming, but he mentioned loudly Tobias Harris over me. I know this is something that a lot of people didn't have the full details on why he said that. But in 2019, when the trade deadline, when the Sixers traded for Tobias Harris, the Sixers had like 4 all-star caliber players, even if it lasted for only 1 season. And looking at how things unfolded in that Game 7, Toronto versus Sixers, the Raptors versus Sixers, where Kawhi Leonard just hit that shot, it was so heart-wrenching because the Sixers had an all-in run because they traded for Jimmy Butler early in the season from Minnesota. They gave out Robert Covington and Dario Saric. Also, they gave up a few more pieces. They gave up Boban, Marjanovic, and a couple of pieces, Then they got Tobias Harris for their all-in run. But, they weren't able to do it. But in the off-season, they chose to sign and trade Jimmy Butler to the Miami Heat for Josh Richardson through sign and trade, and they decided to overpay Tobias Harris because they thought, building around Tobias Harris it would have made sense. So yeah, I mean that's what happened. And when the Sixers chose to keep Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, I feel like he felt some type of way about it, but he didn't mention it because he was just joining a new area code in 2019. That time there was no expectations for the Miami Heat, but fast forward to 2020, they made the NBA Finals. They match up with the LA Lakers, but the LA Lakers just won that. So all in all, I mean, when I saw him scream that, I was like, he felt some type of way when the Sixers decided not to pay him and pay Tobias Harris the max deal, because Tobias Harris was given north of 180 to 190 million for over 5 years, and apparently he's not been looking like the star player that they gave him that money. So I mean, it's such a mute point. But I mean, game sevens, man. I mean the Suns. I mean, such a disappointing way to go out. They just go blown out. They let Luka just have his way. 35 points. I actually watched this game. It was it was actually one of the depressing sights to see. I just don't know what to say, man. I mean, CP3, his only shot to win a championship was last year. He couldn't make it past the Bucks, and this year he just got beat by a unified Mavericks team led by Luka Doncic, and it's just not looking good. But funny enough, you can see the teams that were eliminated made the finals in the Bucks and the Suns. So man, I don't know. I picked the Bucks and the Suns to make it past the second round, but I mean my predictions were all botched because I tweeted it, and it just didn't happen. So I mean, I'm just gearing up to see how the Suns, are gonna do this off season. Are they gonna pay DeAndre Ayton that money? But we just know when you get there. But right now, I just feel like the Dallas Mavericks versus Warriors is just gonna be a very short series, and the Warriors are gonna make the finals, and that's in the West. But in the East, we have a rematch between the Miami Heat and the Celtics. Just to pick up where they left off in 2020, because the Miami Heat punched the finals, and there's a realistic possibility of the Celtics and Warriors meeting in the NBA Finals. So I'll be watching that, because that was a matchup that was supposed to happen in 2018. Then LeBron James happened. So yeah, man, I'm just waiting for it. I'm just waiting to see how the Miami Heat and Celtics are gonna play. Okay, I'm just gonna excuse Giannis' season because he didn't have he's one of his best All-Star players in Chris Middleton, actually the second best player in the Milwaukee Bucks locker room. But all in all, it was just a very interesting second round. It was just entertaining. 6 and 7 games. It was actually pretty good and entertaining, and I loved every minute of it. I watched every game of it, and just hoping to see what the Suns are just gonna do this off season. They're just gonna give that max deal to DeAndre Ayton so that he can commit fully. They look like they couldn't give him that money. I just want to see how the Bucks are gonna retool with with their current pieces, and if they're gonna add or deduct any pieces. We're just gonna see that in the off season. So it's just Cancun for the teams that made the finals, Cancun for the defending champions in the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Phoenix Suns that had the best record. They're actually the biggest upset in the year. I know Sports Center and Sports Center First Take Undisputed just gonna be flames on CP3's legacy. I just know they're gonna say that, but I mean, all in all, I mean, it was just a hectic, run. That second round was just too interesting to miss it, and I just love, just watching those games because they just spoke a lot. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. I mean, the Suns. I never expected that from the Suns. Okay, I was expecting it from the Bucks when I saw the second half, but the Suns, man, I mean, it was just crazy, man. The craziest thing I've seen all. I just waited for that game. It's the craziest thing I've seen all morning, and I mean, it's just crazy. So we're gearing up for East Finals matchup between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. Just want to see how it's gonna play out. It just looks like it's a realistic possibility to just go. It's just gonna go all 7 games, and also the Warriors versus Mavs. Let's see what Luka Doncic can do against the greatest player, greatest shooter of all time, the best 3-and-D guard in the league. I mean, the best defensive maestro we have in the league, and also an up-and-coming Jordan Poole, a veteran who has been through the years, and Andrew Wiggins. Let's see what the Mavs can do in this series. But all in all, I mean, everything's just interesting by the day, and I don't know any much to say, but I'll just be popping up sporadically, just just give my 2 cents, and I'm out, man. Peace.